Hi y'all. So wanted to kind of jump on here because I just don't think this video got enough attention because everything that Candace Owens talked about last night and Baron Coleman afterwards talked about, and every single thing that we all have really just been assuming because of all the dots that we are connecting, which Trigger Smart here thankfully is gonna kind of break it down for us because I've done my own research and I have verified a lot of this information, which Candace also did last night. So Baron also did last night. We're going to go through a few different things dealing with Fort Huachuca today. And let's just go ahead and give this a start. I'm going to pause it here and there and have a few comments. So here we go.
Welcome back to the show, Truth Seekers, where we connect dots that some folks swear are just random stars in the sky. Tonight, we're zooming in on Fort Huachuca, that quiet Arizona intelligence hub, and whispering about some basically eyebrow-raising coincidences. And these are purely allegations. Nothing's proven. No smoking guns, just publicly available breadcrumbs that any internet sleuths like you have strung together into threads that they kind of fit too neatly for comfort. And this may be some stuff that people are going to be covering here pretty shortly, but history is littered with shadows, syndicates, corruption, wars for profit, underground networks exploiting the vulnerable, especially the poor, the helpless, and the young. And yet, it didn't end with history books. Hundreds of thousands of kids vanish in America every year. It's upwards of 800,000 I've seen today, many from margins where no one's looking too hard. Piece by piece, these stories are disturbing on their own. Stitch them together, and suddenly the puzzle starts whispering back. But hey, before we dive into the rabbit hole, TPUSA is already buzzing about a Vance Kirk ticket for 2028. And Erica's given JD her full-throated endorsement. So let's jump to that first. I don't know if you know about this.
Which I called out from the very beginning. This is what was happening because she has actually gone to school and graduated in politics. She's very well educated in politics. Her family comes from the military. She has obviously been discovered to be involved very heavily with the military and a lot of her mother's projects. It has been said that her mom is, obviously everyone knows she's part of the DoD and has contracts with the DoD, defense contracts with DoD, and now it's kind of coming out that in a documentary that I've seen that I might pull up after this, that ERIKA is giving a speech to people who are in the CIA. So it's all very odd when you put all of the military people that are in TPUSA, in addition to all this extra stuff with who ERIKA is and what she was involved with and whom she was involved with before Charlie. So let's go ahead and finish this up real quick.
You've seen this most likely.
We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
So you've probably already seen this, right? You know that she's endorsing J.D. Vance. I don't know if you've seen this or not, though, yet. This is Frank Turek, Rob McCoy, and Mikey McCoy. And this conversation is very unsettling for many people. This is them talking about ERIKA KIRK and J.D. Vance running in 2028. There's a few things about it that are very off, and I want to give credit to Allie Top Files, of course. Go check her out, subscribe, and also look for her on X.
The ticket in 2028 is going to be Vance Kirk. And I said, I don't know if you want to take it because I don't think you're going to have the same effect as the president of Turning Point USA. But no. You know what? Between you and me and our listeners, I'm not giving up on the Vance Kirk ticket.
Well, it's very exciting right there. But
I think ERIKA would be an amazing president someday. But
now, why is that interesting? Because people are saying that Charlie Kirk would make an amazing president someday. Obviously, he wouldn't have been able to do 2028 because he wouldn't have been 35 yet. But it's interesting that now she's kind of stepping into his shoes. She's taken over CEO position at TPUSA. She has also apparently, maybe, according to this, is thinking about political aspirations and becoming president or vice president. And that's what people were saying Charlie was going to do. And check out this video because they go in depth into like his journals and different things, almost making it seem like Charlie wanted her to do all of this and like left a blueprint for her. But this part was strange here. Listen to this.
He left behind these blueprints for her. And
for you.
Yeah.
Which we'd like to see those journals, if possible, at any time, TPUSA. Maybe some handwriting analysis, something like that.
And for you, Mikey.
Yeah.
Did you see that? So he said Charlie left behind these blueprints, which a lot of people aren't buying that either, for ERIKA KIRK.
He did.
But now you saw that Frank Turek was just like, and you, Mikey, right? And then you remember Rob McCoy was talking about how amazing his son is and how he couldn't believe how great of a general and that kind of stuff he was, commanding people and directing them. It's very strange. This almost seems like they're not happy just assisting in politics. It seems like they want to take over politics. Very strange.
Yep.
All right, so now today, our main focus is Fort Huachuca. So if you don't know where it is, it's a pretty sizable fort, and it is right on the border. So if I zoom out here, you can see it's right here in Arizona, and then right across the border, you have Mexico. So it's sitting right there. Obviously, there's you have the peaks and stuff between, but they have pretty easy access. So I started thinking about this. Is there anything about this that is interesting or that warrants any deeper research? And I started digging in a little bit. And hopefully everyone can hear me all right. Let me check the chat here really quick. Yep. Okay, I see everyone. Hello, everyone. I see the new people coming in. All right, so yeah, I saw some people doing the pukey face to those three, and I don't blame you. All right, so like I was saying, anywhere from 400 to 800,000 migrant children are missing every year. But then since 2020, specifically, they're talking about these migrant children on the border. So if you remember, there was, I think it was 85,000 up to 400,000, somewhere in there, of children that were unaccounted for. And they're being handled by, I believe, DHS and some other military and government, offices are handling them. And I was very curious, like, what does the fort do, right? Because we've heard about Fort Huachuca, we've heard about Mitch, we've had Candace kind of bring it up, we've heard Baron talk about it, but what do they actually do? We know they do some intelligence, but I want to dig deeper than that. So Fort Huachuca is a United States Army installation. It is in Arizona. It started off basically as like an anti-Native American type of post to protect the border. And today they have about 18,000 people on post. And Fort Huachuca is the headquarters of Army Military Auxiliary Radio System. Others include Joint Interoperability Test Command, the Information Systems Engineering Command, and the Electric Proving Grounds, and the Intelligence and Electronic Warfare Directorate. So they do a lot of stuff with drones, UAVs, and I saw something that said they switched that over to a different base in 2006. But based on the stuff I've heard lately, I don't know if that's completely true. I don't know if all of it went to a different base, but definitely intelligence.
Of course not.
And then I'll come down here really quick. After the surrender of Geronimo in 1886, the Apache threat was extinguished, but the Army continued to operate Fort Huachuca because of its strategic border position. Remember, I already lost it over there. That's fine. Just remember, it's right on that border with Mexico. They basically have direct access. So coming down here, in addition to the U.S. Army Intelligence Center, Fort Huachuca is home of the 111th Military Intelligence Brigade, which conducts military intelligence training for armed services. The Military Intelligence Officer Basic Leadership Course, Military Intelligence Captain's Career Course, and the Warrant Officer Basic and Advanced courses are all taught there. And it talks about unmanned vehicle. This is the aerial vehicle thing I was talking about, where they said it changed in 2006. But obviously, we've heard that ERIKA KIRK's mother still has some kind of contract or something there, allegedly. And the program was reassigned. The 11th Military Brigade hosts the Joint Intelligence Combat Training Center at Fort Huachuca. Okay, great. That's kind of the backing. But I started digging in. Obviously, I'm using Grok here, and I made Grok check itself and verify things. It's very interesting because initially, when this first came out, Grok was giving me a one-sided political answer to everything. And I don't know if you guys have seen that. Let me know in the comments. Have you actually seen Grok be like Democratic or Republican when you're asking questions? And I said you have to be fair.
Yes, I have seen that, and I'm sure everyone else has, as well as seeing hate speech being tagged on X, which is the free speech platform. It's a mess. It's a mess.
You have to look at both sides of it and pull all that information. That's funny. Code name should be Fort Chihuahua. All right. So Fort Huachuca is a major U.S. installation near Sierra Vista, spanning about 76,000 acres, very large base, hub for military intelligence, cybersecurity, electronic warfare testing, and unmanned UAS training. All right. I've only highlighted the things I specifically want to talk about. So it trains soldiers in military intelligence disciplines like human intelligence, signals intelligence, geospatial intelligence, and counterintelligence. It also hosts the Army Network Enterprise Technology Command for cyberspace operations. It operates radar equipment, tethered aerostat for DEA drug interdiction and military auxiliary radio system headquarters. So basically, they're doing the most important military, cyberspace, and unmanned vehicle research and testing and that kind of stuff that there is in the United States. Fort Huachuca is a major site for defense contracting, particularly intelligence, IT, and testing. Subcontracting opportunities available. They currently have 49 open bids. This includes people that are not in the U.S. So this includes overseas. Now I'm going to look into foreign ties. So they do host international military students at the intelligence school, which seems like that isn't a good idea. Why would you have other foreign intelligence come to the U.S. to learn how the U.S. does intelligence? That seems kind of counterproductive. And then they do diplomatic engagements and then border and drug interdiction.
The reason is because all intel agencies all over the world work together. It is not this intel against that intel and whatever. It is the people, the citizens, the living women and men created by God, who are under this. So, they're all connected. They're all connected, and they all backstab each other. So let's not forget that.
Let's see. Now this is the important piece. For out of context, it's linked to global defense through testing, Iron Dome integration via contractors like Raytheon. Okay. So I was looking to, where are you at? Here we go. Grok it previously has said this. I don't know if it's 100% verified. ERIKA KIRK's father, Kent Francevy, worked as a program manager for Raytheon, a defense contractor with U.S. government ties, including Israel. Her mother, Lori Francevy, is CEO of E3 Tech Group, which has contracts with DHS and DOD. And remember that ERIKA and her mother moved to Arizona to have that contract with the military there. So very interesting. And then, the DOD involvement, is it specifically for...
And also, let's not forget that Tyler Boyer surrounded and talked Charlie Kirk into moving to Arizona and surrounded him with people that have extensive military ties. We'll get into that.
Huachuca? I don't know if it's specifically for Huachuca, but I find it's interesting that the whole family's kind of there. Raytheon, her mom, drone testing, UAVs, all that, right? But this is where I was like, okay, so what? There has to be more. There has to be more than this. because we have all this military stuff, drones, whatever, great. There's intelligence, great. That's always existed. So I want to dig deeper. So criminal activity and scandals. This is where it got interesting. Public records show several incidents involving personnel, often related to, I'll say, youth exploitation, because I don't want the algorithm to freak out, smuggling, and corruption. There is youth abuse. You can read that on the screen. I'm not going to say that on the stream. There's youth molestation. There's youth pornography. And then, of course, there's drug-related stuff, which you would expect right on the border. There's also smuggling of humans, right? So investigation revealed soldiers accused of assault, that type, were less likely to be confined pre-trial compared to other crimes. So they got kind of like an easy out, right, for these people. And then obviously there's a lot of conspiracies about psyops with the base because of the intelligence piece of it. And there's also, I didn't know about this either, claims of underground bases for NSA CIA activities, genetic manipulation, mind control, or population control. I found that very interesting. So they say speculative, of course. We have to say these are allegations. But as I was digging deeper through this, I said, okay, what do they do there? So they have the Joint Task Force Southern Border. So they take care of the border, right? So they have all this intelligence stuff. They have all this UAV stuff. And ERIKA KIRK's mother and father had military contracts, and her mom supposedly does some work with Fort Huachuca and some of these other places in Arizona. And her father did some work with Raytheon, which has also been linked to Fort Huachuca. All right, so digging in, they coordinate full-scale, agile, multi-domain operations, border patrol efforts, illicit activities for crossings and trafficking. The trafficking was the piece I was really focused on. And then it talks about how they host intelligence network and electronic warfare units. Okay, so they do border control in addition to the intelligence. So I started digging in deeper. And I said, what does this have to do? I know there's the whole like Mitch thing, right? Like this meeting where maybe they met and there was something there. And Mitch said he saw ERIKA and he saw Cabot and he saw, Brian Harple. I know that piece is there. But separate from that, I found all of this stuff. And that's making me think there might be more going on than just maybe even possibly what happened to Charlie. So it says Fort Huachuca hosts PSYOP training for the U.S. Army. Let's see. I just want to skip some of the stuff we've already talked about. Okay, so.
I just kind of want to go back a little bit because it goes all the way back to Operation Desert Storm. And let's see, this isn't exactly foreign operations, things like that. We'll get to the part.
And there was something there. And Mitch said he saw ERIKA and he saw Cabot and he saw, Brian Harple. I know that piece is there. But separate from that, I found all of this stuff. And that's making me think there might be more going on than just maybe even possibly what happened to Charlie. So it says Fort Huachuca hosts PSYOP training for the U.S. Army. Let's see. I just want to skip some of the stuff we've already talked about. Okay, so youth exploitation, right? We know about that. And there's cases that are proven. We know about human smuggling, right? Human trafficking. We know about that. There's proven cases. And then we also have apparently some serial killers and stuff like that, which, it's not uncommon, unfortunately, with the military bases and stuff. So how is this linked? Well, it talks about the Charlie Kirk case and Candace Owens and everything else. It talks about, the official FBI narrative, which I don't know how many people believe that. But it talks about how Candace was talking about Fort Huachuca and Mitch and all that kind of stuff, right? And I said, well, that's kind of one-sided. So I said, dig deeper, but don't make this like a political thing, right? Like I want to hear both sides of it. Well, Fort Huachuca hosts PSYOP training. PSYOP training, remember that, through the Intelligence Center. And they use it in Desert Storm. They've been doing it for years. This goes all the way back to World War I. So they've been doing this for decades, right? Military intelligence background, goes through World War I, World War II, and Vietnam War. Now, I'm getting to something here in a minute. I know a lot of you guys are like, hey, you're reading this stuff, it's good information, but I'm connecting this stuff here in a second, and that's why I'm showing this. So the PSYOP, Desert Storm, intelligence support to PSYOPs, counterintelligence, human intelligence. They have 78 intelligence-related courses for over 12,000 personnel annually. So they're training 12,000 U.S. and international agents.
12,000 people, foreign and domestic, a year. That's a ton of people.
Soldiers, whatever you want to call them, in this intelligence, right? That's a lot of people. And what are they doing with these people? And now recent claims, we talk about online discussions have speculated about Huachuca as a hub for PSYOPs, often tied to QAnon or Mind War, which is Major General Paul Vallely. Remember that name? Major General Paul Vallely, okay? The Mind War doctrine originates from a 1980 U.S. Army paper titled PSYOP to Mind War, authored by Paul Vallely and then this other guy, Michael Aquino, okay? Remember that name, Paul Vallely, very important. And basically, if you sum it up, it's truth-based influence and intelligence. So they try to manipulate people using truth. I don't know if this means like an actual truth or something that seems like truth, but the way they do it is through media, as you would expect.
Well, it definitely says Mind War emphasizes absolute truth and credibility. Messages must be factual to build lasting trust. Lies erode effectiveness, which means, as Satan would do, 90% truth and 10% lie. They gain your trust by the truth, and then they slip those little lies in there. The confusion, the chaos, the different things like that.
Operations use global electronic TV, radio, and all that kind of stuff. And they do it through, back in the day, they did it through leaflets and loudspeakers. And they say that it begins before physical conflict, and they want to basically win the war just mentally. So remember, Paul Vallely, he's a retired major general, focused on innovating PSYOP post-Vietnam. Okay, so criticisms. they say there's conspiracy interpretations often portrayed as a blueprint for mind control. Now, remember that Mikey McCoy and Frank Turek, and I don't know if Erica said this as well, but a lot of TPUSA people keep saying that Charlie left a blueprint for everything, a blueprint for her to become president, a blueprint for her to become CEO. And it's very strange that there's these psyops linked to Fort Huachuca, and as we're going to see here somewhere else, it's very interesting because they're using this terminology, a blueprint for mind control and domestic propaganda, and then also weapon use. Now, there's suggestions that some of this is actually tied back to satanic rituals and things like that as well. I don't really get too much into that stuff, but that was in here. So I just want to make sure you know, yeah, Amina was a Satanist.
So, of course, you've got a ton of these people, and we're concerned about the Operation Mocking Pastor, that the Christian faith has been infiltrated by military, pretty much, are the claims being made. So you have mind control, domestic propaganda, electromagnetic weapon use, and his occult background, amplified claims of black magic or satanic ties. So that would also, tie back to a lot of these underage movements of people, if you catch my drift. So it also sounds a lot like the MK Extra, if you get what I'm saying, as well. So seems like this base is pretty important, thus the freak out.
Yeah. So you are right, Ian in Michigan. I saw some stuff that he was a Satanist and did cult-like stuff and whatever else you want to call it, but he was one of the people that was writing this intelligence information for the military. So does that mean that the military is going off of cult-like satanic doctrines and stuff like that? I don't know. But very strange. So as I kept digging, guess what? Paul Vallely is an advisory council board member for TPUSA. And if you go through here, it says Vietnam, talks about his intelligence training, military academy, talks about counterintelligence, anti-drug, all the same stuff that we read about just a second ago. So Paul Vallely, who is a military intelligence person, who worked on these books and all these things with a satanic type of person, right? Together, they wrote all these different ways that things are supposed to be done to manipulate people, counterintelligence, win wars, manipulate the media in people's minds, and then the blueprint, right? We're talking about a blueprint. So we have Vallely here on the board. There are...
Remember the blueprint that they keep referring back to, the blueprint, the blueprint, the blueprint. So the media, the traditional media, does the same thing and would do the same thing to convince people of specific things. Just repeat it until it's what people have heard so many times that they're just like, well, this is what it is. And that's not always true. It's just a different version of psyops. So
other people who are also working for TPUSA that are also intelligence. So I've seen at least 3 or 4 so far, and one of them is very prominent on X and is a Navy intelligence officer. I find that very interesting that they are working for TPUSA and they're experts in psyops and creating blueprints to control people's minds. All right. So as I'm going through here, you're going to ask, well, how are you tying this all together? So you have Vallely, who has the psyop capabilities and intelligence and everything else. He's on the board for TPUSA. Yes. Someone's asking, is this TPUSA? Yes, it is. So, and actually I'll show you here. So it's Turning Point USA up there on top. There's their website, tpusa.com/team. Then you can see them right there. But how's this all tied together? Well, there's allegations, right? I'm not saying that this is 100% true because I don't know, I'm not there. But there's allegations that ERIKA KIRK has ties to youth trafficking in Romania, right? I had a video on this before. I talked about how she was working with the U.S. military and some other people, and she is accused by a lot of people have come out about this. I don't know if it was her specifically, like her Romanian Angels nonprofit, but her and the people she worked with moving children around. Supposedly they were supposed to be just giving gifts, but there's so many videos that have come out saying that children were being placed with people doing adoptions, right? So that piece is there, right? And then you have, like I said before, you have
Candace kind of blew that wide open last night, and so did Baron Coleman. So kudos to you guys for really digging into this stuff.
For Huachuca that has had youth trafficking, youth abuse, border patrol, like they control the border and that kind of stuff, work with the border. And there's been, tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 kids that have come up missing, right? They're unaccounted for. That was during the Biden administration. And then you have, 800,000 kids a year that disappear. And in Ukraine, it was like 200,000, I think was the number. It was a rough estimate of how many kids were missing currently. So it's very interesting that it seems like her and the guy at TPUSA with the PSYOP, Fort Huachuca, the border, and all that stuff kind of seem to be in that same arena, right? And then people are like, well, maybe that's just a coincidence. Okay. And this is just for fun. This is ERIKA KIRK's Instagram on the left. She's standing with the dudes. Charlie's not there. And then on his Instagram, this is what he posted, right? And actually, let me blow this up a little bit bigger. That's pretty small. Okay. But you can see, so the picture she chose was her with these guys. the picture he chose was them together. And that might kind of go into the mindset that we're talking about here, right? But if you haven't seen this, we're going to watch this really quick. This is Cabot Phillips. And if you don't know, she and Cabot were dating. And this actually covers it pretty well, so I just let it.
Which, by the way, this is one of the funniest videos, even though it's about a very serious topic, and he hits all the nails right on the head. So it's pretty good.
Play. And this is from Project Constitution. Make sure you guys go check him out. Obviously, he's very active everywhere and does a ton of work.
Definitely.
You know, no one can be right 100% of the time, but he does share some very interesting stuff. So definitely go check him out and give him a follow.
I ain't gonna believe what I just discovered, dude. Pizza thing on Kabot, and that's not what I'm talking about. But listen, so we know the bookshelf, right? The bookshelf, did y'all see the books? The Secret History of Israel's Targeted Assassinations. Rise and K first. Are you freaking kidding me? Not to mention Mr. Kabot, but pizza talk is the new pillow talk. You tweeted this in 2018, dude, and you know what pizza means. Let's go through some of the books you have on your shelf, shall we? In the Name of the Children, an FBI agent's relentless pursuit of the nation's worst predators. So you know what pizza means, Kabot. Hey, Kabot, check out Cannibalism right here, Kabot. I mean, what? A perfectly natural history. Okay, Kabot. Hey, Kabot, how about this one right here? It's called Stiff. It's also on your bookshelf. The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. Are you kidding me, Kabot? It's time we have a little talk, Kabot. And I want to know what exactly y'all are hiding. Yes, we're that couple who does painting lessons together. Yeah. That's in 2017, September. Take a look right here. You and Charlie, 2017, September. Yet she didn't know who Charlie was. Charlie didn't know who she was. Are you kidding me? You're posting pictures of you and Charlie and then you and her. Like, come on, man. We're not stupid. But back to the pizza thing, Kabot. I want to know, did you really get this tattooed on your lip, man? Like, Kabot, is this a real, like an actual tattoo? Because why would you do that, man? When you clearly know what's going on, bro. You doing it for attention, for clout? It's pretty sick if you are, dude. Then you got your little How to Fight Like Charlie with Cabot Phillips. Oh, yeah, November 20th. I guess I already missed that one, didn't I? It's just the fact of all this, man. Everybody's tired of all the BS, all the lies, all the hidden secrets, all this, all that. But the pizza thing, man, like, it's, it blows my mind how so many people see it and they're like, oh, well, it's just no big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal.
Now, for any of you that don't know what pizza is, many of the elites, politicians, billionaires, that kind of stuff, there's allegations that whenever they want to have, I don't know if you can see that fly, but it keeps bothering me. But there's some allegations that if anytime they wanted a young adult, possibly underage, as company to do with what they choose, they would order a pizza, right? And there's Pizzagate. There's different ways that they would do it. This has been widely talked about. So that's why he's getting so much flack about this pizza thing. But now I'll let this finish playing. But now just think about everything I've talked about, right? We have the PSYOPs, we have the intelligence, we have the Vance and JD with Kirk presidential thing that's trying to be pushed out there. We have, Cabot Phillips with the Pizzagate thing. We have ERIKA KIRK with the Romanian Angels thing. We have the fact that her parents work with, Raytheon and do that kind of stuff at Fort Huachuca. We have, Mitch walking in on that. And we have the fact that Charlie, like some of you guys are saying, like, did he find out about something? Did Charlie figure out that maybe an operation of this type was going on? And maybe that's why, they took him out. I don't know. And could this be separate from the financial stuff? It could be. But what if they're using that, those millions of dollars that are supposedly out of place? What if they were using that for an operation like this? Now, again, these are just allegations. This isn't like a factual thing. This is just me trying to connect pieces.
Oh, for sure. This right here is the main thing that we want to protect, the children. And you post stuff like this right here, dude. Are you kidding me? Charlie was very, very, very aware of the pizza thing, too. Also reveals how these, use pizza as code word for CP, okay? So Charlie knew, meaning Cabot. It just kills me the fact that Charlie knew all about this, and you just think it's okay just to get pizza on your lip when bro. Like, come on. You're not my bro either, by the way, dude, Cabot. This right here, look at all these. This is what Charlie posted. Look, pizza link. This was all over like Meta and stuff. I mean, just, it's just sickening to me, man. It's so sickening how this stuff continues on.
So as you can see, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of moving pieces, right?
I don't believe what I just discovered, dude. Pizza.
So obviously I've shown a lot of stuff, but I mean, this raises a lot of interesting questions. Obviously, like I said, I just kind of started piecing these things together and like pulling different threads. And as you start to look through all the different people involved and their past and allegations against them, and the fact that the fort is on the border and the fort has had, these youth allegations against them for abuse and trafficking and everything else on the record officially, like people have officially been in trouble for this. This isn't like people just talk about it. Like this is public records. So I find it very interesting and it may all be related or not, but there's some open questions. Does TPUSA have anything to do with trafficking and grooming the youth of America? That's a major question. If these are the type of...
Allegedly, yes, I believe 100% they absolutely do. And that is what was found out or what was being booked or whatever happened. It was found out and it was starting to be a problem. And that's the freak out from everyone is what our government is involved in. So, and what they know about and what they've greenlit. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with in this whole situation, which is why I find it so very important that we do talk about it and we do expose it and we do figure out what's going on, because we'll never be told by the appropriate authorities or anything like that what's happened. So it's up to us, as it should be, because we are supposed to be the owners of the government. And, if our CAI isn't going to do their job, or our FIB isn't going to do their job, then, that's up to us now. All right, so this is the map of where Fort Huachuca is located. As you can see, directly on the border, directly. So, perfect spot for you to get away with whatever, especially over these last 4 years when there was a wide open border, and you can pretty much get away government sanctioned with anything. So, okay, for this thought experiment, we're going to go through and we're going to use Gemini, which I know AI is not that reliable, but you have to give it specific parameters and it'll do better. You can find sourced information where you can click on things like that. You just have to give it those commands and tell it source answer only, unbiased, and without social media influence, because social media can sometimes throw off the AI and make it think certain things are real when they're not actually real, and it's just being talked about so much that that's what it gathers as fact. So you have to make sure you use those parameters, but still check what you're looking at always. So I said do a deep dive on any and all S or T incidents at Fort Huachuca with source answers only, unbiased, and without social media influence. So it says investigations into incidences at Fort Huachuca reveals distinct categories of recorded events: historical, administrative controversies, human smuggling, and operations involving the installation's perimeter, and recent judicial proceedings for S misconduct. So as you go through, you can see there is, plenty of things that I can't technically say that you can read, and as recent as February 2025 at this specific base. And remember, it's right on the border, so that's where you would go and where you would want to be for some type of operation of this type. So you have plenty of different, sadly, incidents of this stuff happening consistently. And this is the same thing. Like, you get caught once doing something, you're probably most likely just getting caught that once because you've done it so many times that you finally got caught. And that's what's so sad about this situation. And that's what people are afraid to say. So research, knowledge, understanding, that helps. So I don't know how many people have seen this yet. It seems like it's kind of starting to make the rounds, but it seems pretty important considering everybody's wondering how ERIKA has all this time to just go on all these media tours with Barry Weiss and tell all these lies and make up all these reasons that she can't provide alibis, and the grandparents are nowhere to be heard from or anything. So this may or may not have something to do with it. I'm just noticing things. So let's see.
Anna Paulina Luna just say that ERIKA Kirk lost her kids? What happened?
I do think that when the information isn't put out there directly, that's when you have a lot of these, could have ERIKA have been involved in any of that? And that's what I'm saying. I don't think that she at all had any connection to that. When I see that, it's like you're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. She did lose her husband. She lost her kids. She did lose her husband. She lost her kids. I was just with her at the White House, and she's, that's anyone. If that happened to your wife, my husband, it's devastating.
So, Freudian slip, maybe. But it this is a pretty smart woman. I have respect for this lady. And she said two things there that were quite concerning to me. One, she lost her kids, obviously. Why did ERIKA lose her kids? Why is that a thing? And why is ERIKA at the White House? What is she doing at the White House? Why is she doing this? She should be mourning. She should be taking care of her children. She should be doing all these other things, but instead, she's at the White House. Let's ask ourselves that. Let's think about that. All the things that we know that she's involved in. Okay, it's pretty obvious what she's involved in. And she's hanging out at the White House. Why? Why? Now I want to take a look at this. This is a very close up and enhanced picture, probably of Charlie's hand immediately after you see his head going back, and there's blood or red stuff, should I say? Sorry. And I'm not sure if that's a wound or what, but that's definitely different than what's going on down here. So we can make our own inferences about that, which many people have and are leaning more towards this scenario that we think is going on. Notice the grip is still, even though he's obviously already had the incident happen. So to me, that says maybe there is some electricity going through still that would cause something else, maybe a microphone or something, to malfunction by overloading it, as maybe a pager might have happened to it. You send so much information to it or overload the sound so much that it causes this blowout of material, shall we say. So just a little bit closer up image of this so that you can see clearly this is not the same as this. So make your own inferences. So here is Butch Hibbs with a gentleman. As you see, he's wearing a black shirt and a backpack, and we will see some other pictures, photos of him, and you can tell me what you think, whether you think it's the same person or not, and what they're even doing, who they are. I don't know. I have no clue who this person is. All I know is that this is the first Charlie Kirk event Butch Hibbs was able to get to, because he was just always wanted to meet Charlie. So, make of that what you will. Just a bit closer up picture of the same gentleman, I believe. Same backpack, same shirt, same everything it looks like. Just kind of wandering around. So let's see what he's got going on. I think it's worth looking into. I don't know. I mean, all of this is worth looking into because it's all so disgusting and depraved. So it all needs to be looked into. Just a little bit wider of a view so you can see here's Blake Neff with his back turned towards us, and the guy's just kind of standing there. So I don't know what he's there for. I know he's not the guy that was working on the sound. I don't know what the backpack's for. I'm not sure who he is or what he's there for. Maybe some of y'all do. Maybe some of y'all are better at the facial things than I am, but I think it's worth definitely looking into again. So all right, now we're going to move on to the story that Baron Coleman broke, pretty much, about Bozeman, Montana, which is very interesting because I lived right outside of Bozeman when I was a child, and I am very aware that there are a lot of missile silos there, which means there's a lot of military bases there, and it's wide open, so you could get away with testings and whatever else you need to do there. So I know that for a fact. I know that from personal experience. So the fact that this guy, Butch Hibbs, was there around at Ferry Lake in Bozeman, Montana, around the same time that several other people have been said to be there. We've got Rick Cutler, who is confirmed to be there because they just love bragging about their vacations. And we are still trying to nail down whether Harpole was there or not. So if anyone has information on that, I'm sure that would be helpful. Get it to Baron, get it to me, get it to Candace, get it to somebody, and they will make sure that it gets put into the timeline, which is very important. So, all right, so we've got Rick Cutler here, and he is passionate. He has a passion to see the nations restored, healed, and whole. His ministry is helping bring hope and healing to victims of human trafficking through aftercare. He has also impacted those in need through a community feeding ministry. It's what's so disgusting to me is you put God as the front of this craziness that's going on, this human trafficking that just keeps popping. I'm sorry, this person moving that keeps popping up, and it just seems to be with every single person that you deal with when it comes to this TPUSA faith, especially, and it's very disturbing, especially when you consider the Fort Huachuca aspect and all of that. So let's move on. Now, as Candace went over last night, which has been like explosive, no pun intended, is that there was a man named Moon who went by the last name of Moon, and he had churches and all sorts of different organizations that I can, you can go back and watch her episode and she'll go through the entire thing in more in detail. But what my main focus is right now is this Liberty University right here, which is what Moon turned into from massive influxes of money, which people who have worked on this and studied this for 15, 20 years still cannot get to the bottom of. Where is the money coming from? Where is the money going? That sounds really familiar. The Doge audit. Where is the money coming from? Where is the money going? So it just seems all to just fit right in with all the suspicions that I've had from the very beginning, with all of these huge corporations that are involved and have a lot of military ties and have a lot of things that are untoward, if you want to be kind about it. So it turns to university. It's got the huge influx of money. People can't figure out where it's coming from. She goes deep into it. She's got a whole stack of information. I'm not going to share it right now. But the question remains was, while Charlie in Korea offered this, because all of this is based out of Korea, and maybe this was the route that they were going to use to take TPSA to the next level. But if you look here, you've got Liberty University. Okay, Tyler Boyer attended and graduated. ERIKA KIRK attended and graduated. Cabot Phillips attended and graduated. Mikey McCoy was accepted but chose instead to go work for TPUSA. Rob McCoy met Charlie Kirk via Jerry Falwell Jr. and Liberty University, who Jerry Falwell was a founding member of the Liberty University, coming from Moons. We have the Andrew Colbert coming out of the Kairos company and led at Liberty University prior to Kairos. We have the Falkirk Center, Jerry Falwell and Charlie Kirk's mission, which failed because of Jerry Falwell's S-word scandal. Eric Francie was a Falkirk fellow, whatever that is. This eventually was spun off to become TP Faith. Then you come over here and you see all these things that they were also involved in Eastern Europe. Then you have the TSA, if you know what I mean, right there. So that's a lot of stuff that they are all involved with. Okay, and then you come over here to the D section. All of this military stuff. It is absolutely insane, actually. So, yeah. All right, so in conclusion of all that crazy information, I am coming to my own opinion, okay, and it is alleged that ERIKA KIRK is 100% involved in all of this. She knows exactly what is happening. She knew exactly what the Egyptian planes were about. She knew exactly what this base was about. She knows all of it. She is not an idiot. She is actually a very brilliant, smart person, and she's been to school for politics, which politics is basically just teaching you how to lie. So yay, you know. And then you've got the Tyler Boyer and the incredible, wonderful General Mikey McCoy, and you've got all these different military backgrounds and ties and familiar family ties that go high up in the military. It's just insane. It's mind-blowing. So the more information that you get about these people, the more crooked and disgusting it gets. And it makes sense that they would do something as horrific as take someone out in the middle of a college campus, surrounded by not too many college kids, though. So it's very strange. All of it is very strange. And I think this puts a lot of the pieces together. What it was exactly about. And the fact that this fort that everyone's been freaking out about is directly on the border, and it's the easiest place you could possibly go to for what the business that they're actually in lately. And it seems like all that started right around this time, about the time ERIKA showed up. So on the scene, dating as it is, as they say, and the marriage and all of that. So I have a few questions. Where are the kids? I've heard rumors that the parents may be trying to get custody of the kids. I'm not sure. Maybe they found her unfit. Why would they find her unfit? Probably because she mourns in white and is doing media blitzes instead of being at home with her children, mourning like a normal woman would for her husband that she loved. She wouldn't be having her ex-boyfriend headline in Charlie's Place. She wouldn't be doing all of these sneaky things that are just untoward, to be kind about the whole situation. So as badly as I want to make fun of the situation, as badly as I want to do this and that and the other and laugh about it and, just talk about how stupid these people are for all the lies that they're coming up with, I want to really drive home the point of how serious this is. Okay, if there is one organization this large getting away with doing something like this, there are many others, just like I said. Just like you will find many others in this organization that we have actually found that are tied to the military, that are tied to accusations, that are tied to arrests, that are tied to bankruptcies, that are tied to funneling money, that are tied to all of these things that no one should be looking up to. Let's not forget, to bring up the fact that she had Nicki Minaj, who's someone that Charlie Kirk thought was very bad for women in general as a role model. We all know that. Maybe he wasn't so for JD Vance. Maybe that's just not, maybe he didn't really know who he was. Or, I don't know if he was involved. This is all alleged. This is opinion, okay? But what I do know is that the government, if not involved, was extremely complicit. We also know another nation state that it was extremely complicit. They made themselves very clear on that. And we just need to keep watching this. I think this fits all the pieces together. I really do. It all makes sense if this was what was going on. So no one's going to convince me otherwise. I do think that it was a microphone. It was not a 30-06. And there is lots and lots of proof of that. There are shards on the floor. There are shards on Charlie himself. There are different things like that just don't make sense for a bullet. So I hope y'all have a blessed day. Peace.